Right, I think at this point, I have explored the Great Desert and the Wasteland areas many enough times that I'm actually starting to remember like the particulars of where even all the minor items are. Finally has company's point. Nothing like how I remember, like say, like Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and Dark Souls 1, like nothing like that though. Like, my knowledge of knowing item placements in those games is on a completely other level than anything else. BP, Facility Management Service acquired in service area. Root block, unable to access the operation area, unable to solve the issue with current equipment. Need high power equipment, no equipment. Call admin, no answer. Process terminated. I wonder if Rappi would have anything to do with being the admin, possibly. I mean, he's the administrative computer of the Human Liberation Front from like the time leading up to, somewhat I would assume, to the second to final war, as well as, well, maybe only it was to the final war, you know? I mean, maybe Raphael Marx was, I mean, maybe the Eidos Company, and along with Raphael Marx and the rest of organic humanity, was not on the page fast enough against the Unro Eidos's, what's the word, they're not rebellion, what's the, not imperialism either, what's the fucking English word for when somebody tries to, like, I guess they take over, we can say, yeah. There's a better word for it anyway. Like, maybe they were too short-sighted to see that Mother Sphere was gonna have some kind of, like, takeover, you know? And they did not start preparing for it until, well, I mean, they didn't start preparing the Night bus until, you know, the second to the final war was already over. Which I guess is very likely. And that is also during the time when Rappi was likely created, and if Rappi was created during that time, then I don't think the timeline really exists where Rappi would be in control of the drones that exist in, you know, the areas around Zion. But then again, at the same time, like, Zion somehow, it's such a fucking mess, this world building of this part of the story. It's like, I wanna say that Zion was created or founded at the, like, after the colony extinction event. It would make the most sense because all of these old buildings in here were likely residential buildings inside, you know, possibly the old city center of Zion or some like nearby smaller like cities with like residential like areas, because Zion used to be like a, you know, 100,000 plus like, you know, inhabitant city alone. So, you know, just that. So maybe even outside the city walls, these ruins would be those residential buildings, the apartment buildings and such. And then the main part of Zion, the upper hierarchy of Zion, the upper architecture of Zion, keeping everything together, would be inside the dam walls, where the ocean used to be. And then when the extinction event maybe happened, maybe the ocean drained itself after that because of them. Actually, that doesn't make sense. Because during an extinction event where there's like large amount of like material falls from space, it would cause a nuclear winter more so. So the degrees on the planet would plummet. It wouldn't be the other way around. But like I would like to produce like a different timeline here, but Raphael Marx, aka Adam himself, says in this Great Desert area, when we are just exploring the overworld here, he literally says on his own words that, like, before the colony extinction event, this used to be a lush forest. And then there's the bulletin board events that talk about, like, the ones for photographic, you know, challenges. That talks about, you know, the desert used to be a vast sea, you know, before the colony extinction event. So it used to be a lush forest, where there was also an ocean. Somehow. Yeah? And if that is true, then how does the colony extinction event there? How does the water evaporate away? I mean, maybe like momentarily it causes like an eruption of like volcanic activity maybe, when some like massive chunks of like space debris are like hauled into Earth, you know, at, you know, cascading speeds. I mean, possibly, like volcanic activity goes up for some amount of time, and as well as, you know, cataclysmic like plate activity, you know, with the manner plates of the different like continents of, you know, Earth and that kind of stuff. Like that would probably cause an ocean like this to, you know, disappear, maybe, for, you know, like momentarily possibly. I can see that, kind of. But even then, like, it just seems so much less feasible hypothesis compared to simply just, like, this ocean still existing in here, and they would have gone into nuclear winter, because there would have been... There should have been a massive smoke cloud blocking, like, the sunlight from reaching Earth's lower atmosphere very easily, and that's the reason as to why, you know, much of the plant life and much of the intelligent life on the planet eventually just dies, because they are just unable to, like, sustain themselves because of malnutrition, you know. Not like the plants don't grow and animals don't get to eat as many plants anymore. The herbivores start dying, predators start dying, you know, that kind of jab, you know. So, like, it's illogical too. It's... Man, the world building of these games, like semi-recent past, in like the 70 to like the 90-year period in the past of where we are in the events in this game, that part is so fucking inconsistent. It's extremely bothersome. The truth, Mothersphere out of control. The shocking testimony of a former Eidos company AI developer, released for the first time ever. Mothersphere has developed her own AI. Who's responsible? Another AI engineer? No, they were all fired. Are we really safe with an AI without safeguards? Eidos company, a cutting-edge business leading the world in AI and new technology. Are their products really for humans? An in-depth analysis through internal documents obtained by our paper. Mothersphere is Eidos company, and Eidos company is Mothersphere. Don't miss the shocking truth. An exclusive report from our reporter, Quinn, only in the truth. Well, I know the answer to that. However, it's not as interesting as what I was talking earlier, so I'm gonna continue that, if anything. Anyways, before I went on that entire hiatus on something that, well, isn't maybe on the exact topic, I was talking about Raffi and the drones, yeah? Like, the drones in here, they must have been, like, commissioned around at the time when Scion was at its biggest, because the solar towers used to produce power for, I mean, they used to produce energy as a side product of their existence, but the main thing that they were serving is they were terraforming the environment to become more hospitable, so that there would be more plant life and more mineral water found, you know, more groundwater found, like the plant. More groundwater pools would appear, and plant life would appear also back more when the eroded ground would start to terraform itself to become more hospitable again, you know? So taking that into account, you know, these solar towers and the drones that were serving the solar towers, doing the maintenance and answering to the administrator, whoever that now is. I mean, is it possible that it's, you know, Raffi, for example? Well, Raffi also goes super crazy at the end of obviously war, you know? So it seems like he either had to reset his own intelligence maybe, or his own memory bank, if he ever wanted to go back to semi-normal. Or he would be like unrelated entirely, and this administrator is somebody else. Heck, this administrator could even be Rafael Marx himself. Because, you know, Rafael Marx, aka Adam, he talks about Scion in a very sad way every time he mentions the Adam, or mentions the city. Like even the very first time when we go to Zion, like Adam says that, you know, this used to be a city for like hundreds of thousands used to live, you know, and then he's like, you know, obviously now there are fewer, and then he's like, you know, says that in a sad tone, and you know, obviously it seems like he's got very long time ties into the existence of Zion as a city. So he very likely, along with, you know, rescuing Oracle to become the prophet of Zion and using Oracle's, you know, powers of, you know, whatever his facility on the surface exactly is, as well as his physical state, being an, you know, Unraw Eidos fusion and an Alpha Nativa at that at the same time. To his own advantage, and he likely not only founded the city, you know, with personnel like Oracle, you know, and before that maybe, you know, for the refugees of the colony extinction event as one thing, but he also could easily be the administrator that all of the drones were answering to. Like, it would make a surprising amount of sense. However, where the terraforming system towers, the solar towers, were they Orca Aerospace's towers, were they not? Orca Aerospace used to work in very close collaboration with Eidos company, especially in the later days. So it could definitely be possible that Rafael Marx would definitely be appointed even an administrator for like the other companies like Creations or their own like droids possibly at some point. I mean, Orca Aerospace, they literally erected an entire space station on one of the orbital sectors in Rafael Marx's name, the one that we go to at the end of this game, the Spirefall. Literally named Rafael Space Station, but it's created by Orca Aerospace, so the reverence towards Rafael Marx was very obvious. A formless beast is coming, a world of man's sins. It devours, gives birth, and forgets itself. It will appear to us as a mirror. Taking responsibility for actions that you have not committed personally yourself is one of the hardest things you can do. That is how I construe that text. But yeah, I think if I continue talking about this, I'm just gonna go into dead ends, because there's a lot of unknown personnel that we just like we don't have anything that we can like appoint into those roles that make sense in this story. It's a bunch of like omitted names that just don't exist.